Slowly I turned, step by step, and the lion was upon me in no time.
Good heavens, Commander, what did you do?
I knew you'd get that reference, Jeff.
Yeah. Commander McBragg was one of my favorites there in the Tennessee Tuxedo and his friends show. Hello, David.
Hello, Jeff.
How'd you know it was me?
Buddy. I could tell by your background.
Ah, yes. Jeffrey's not here anymore. Ring. I found, Robin came down. It's like 3 days from Halloween. Into my laboratory today and said, "Do you have any Halloween decorations?" And I thought, oh my gosh, I'd forgotten I have some that I bought last year.
Oh.
So and so I took these out, and this is actually pretty appropriate. I suppose if I wear this outside, I still have to wear a mask over it, though. I like that. Is that a real pith helmet? That looks like a genuine pith helmet.
Oh, I do believe so. It's got a leather strap and everything in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's hard.
Yes, it is.
Made from reeds or something, isn't it?
The hides of rhinoceros.
Oh, I hope not.
Yes, indeed.
There's a rhinoceros with a big scar.
The great white rhino. Oh, yes, it's still alive. We didn't want to kill it.
Yeah. Yeah, and his friends are like, "What happened to you?" And he said, "They made a hat. They needed a hat for Dave."
Reminds me of that pig joke, which when I tell it at school, kids fall for it because I did grow up on a farm a little bit. The guy said, "Hey, that pig over there, how come it has only one leg, you know?" "Oh, well, you know this joke, right?" Or have you heard it?
I do, yes.
Because that pig, the house was burning, it ran in, it saved my kids from the crib, and, oh, that's how it lost its leg? Oh, no. And then, the other time, the dog was stuck on the railroad tracks, and the pig ran out and rescued the dog, pulled its paw out, and, oh, that's how it lost its leg? So, oh, no. Well, you only eat a pig like that a little at a time. So anyway, today we have a special show. We won't do any...
It's kind of gross, though, really.
Well,
to think you take part of
eating a pig a little
at a time.
Well, welcome everyone to the one and only podcast on the net dedicated 100% today to the greatest game in the world, Advanced Squad Leader.
Advanced Squad Leader. Let's not forget, it is Advanced Squad Leader.
And it is a special interview with Stu. It'll take the full hour.
Yes. Steve Stewart.
Of Vaseline with Stu fame.
Yes. And it's a very good interview. We were glad to speak with Stu. He's doing a lot of good work out there, especially for people getting into ASL and playing the starter kit. He does a lot of stuff with that and fills a niche there. He's filling a niche. Or is it a niche? Indeed. He's filling a niche, and he's scratching a niche. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's good to talk to him.
And here he is.
To avoid legal snags, tell people they're being recorded. So,
Stephen Stewart, you are being recorded.
Okay. Did you get my email signature on that paperwork there?
Yeah. Yes, that came through. Yes.
Okay. Good deal.
Yeah. So here we are. We are happy to be joined by Stephen Stewart.
Sure are.
Hello, gentlemen. It's great to be here. I love your guys' show. And I just think you can't measure the contribution that you guys have had over the past 10 years to the ASL world. I can measure it in my own view, but it's just amazing what impact you guys have had. And I know it's difficult to kind of gauge your feedback because, if no one responds to your things, as a fellow content creator, it's hard to know if there's anybody out there. So but there are people out there, and guys know this more than anything. Is you guys are doing a wonderful job. That's all there's to it.
Nice of you to say so. Thank you.
And you're doing an amazing job. Also, here's to all of us.
Here's to us.
Link and drink.
Yes.
Actually, from our mutual friend.
Oh, is that? It's hard to. Oh, it's this.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Mr. Donovan had sent this to me. He had an extra
Oh.
one, so I was hard up for it. And
super.
Dennis had sent me one, and so it's kind of great. He's a great guy. I love Dennis.
I can't help but notice that shot glass is empty, though.
Well, yeah. Well, haven't received the special half squad's brew. Hasn't arrived yet by Amazon.
Bathtub gin. Now there's an idea. I've been thinking about that.
Oh my goodness.
Perfect
That's
time
crazy.
for it.
On that. So
Well-
it's great to have you on the show, and tell us. Maybe you should tell us a little about yourself. Just
Okay.
interesting stuff.
Just the interesting stuff. Well, that'd be pretty short. but well, gaming wise, obviously, I started, teenager, junior high, moved to the junior high area, and stuck in the back of the class by having the last name of Stewart. And so the next gentleman next to me, his last name was W. So neither of you guys would have been like quote friends of mine because you don't sit next to them in junior high. It's really kind of odd where positioning in your grade school and things affect your social lives. But anyway, met up with this gentleman, and you just get discussing things like that. He plays war games with his brother, and that happened to be Panzer leader. Say, hey, I'm interested in tanks. What teenage boy isn't interested in tanks back in the 80s, And so go over to his house, look at his stuff. Hey, this is pretty cool, and just became friends with him. And then Squad Leader came out, of course, near that same time. Yeah, absolutely, right there. There it is. No, who doesn't love that tiger on that cover?
Oh, it is a classic cover.
I mean, that's just the way it is. And then the Squad Leader, the image. I've got actually some posters behind me, but my backdrop to there. The Squad Leader box image is absolutely just fantastic. So that just kind of grabs you. I'm a very visual person. And so it grabbed my attention, the Squad Leader, and it's tactical base. You got little tanks you can move around, little guys, little machine guns, and you just become enthralled with the game. And so we played the game a couple years, and then he kind of bored with it. We played through kind of GI, and then he kind of stopped playing, and then high school came along. He had other things to do, and then I looking for opponents because I still want to play the game because it's so good. I call the hobby shop and say, hey, is there anybody that plays this particular game ASL, right? And so I go down there and they have this name on the board, and so I call the 555 number, and I meet up with this my local friend, and we played for probably 2 years after that, and so he pretty much taught me. We probably pretty much played off each other, where he would always have some sort of trick that he's going to pull from the rule book on me. And I would always have to try to be prepared for it while we're playing the game. And so he taught me to really be aware of things and try to look for little nooks and crannies in the rules and things like that. So that was kind of fun. And we kind of taught each other. And after I knew a couple of his tricks, I tried to do the same thing with him. So very competitive player. It's those games where you sit down and in 3 hours later, you're both just sweating, because of the anxiety of playing the game. It's crazy. And then, from that, on and off, just like everybody else, you go to college or you have a family and things like that. So everyone seems to have their 10-year gap. Play a little bit, play by email, online, probably 8, 10, 15, 20 games, stack of boards that, I would build these platforms where I'd have 5 games going at a time. Trying to learn his tricks that he's going to pull, it really forced me to focus on the game. And so I had to focus on exactly what I was doing so I can counter what little trick he'd have, because, he knew more rules than I did and things like that. And the funny thing was, the very first time, because, everyone plays Squad Leader without half the rules half the time anyway. And so the first time we played together, we were sat down, he'd shoot a couple of my units, and then he'd break them, of course. And then he'd put this little blue counter on top of my guys, and it has a DM on it. It says, what the hell's that? I said, what's a DM? I said, well, I don't get a DM until later. I don't get a DM. And so he it's like, I was playing DM the entire time wrong. And looking back at it, I don't think I ever placed a DM marker on any of my Squad Leader counters throughout the entire Squad Leader series.
Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah. And so needless to say, those trying to learn his tricks that he's going to pull, it really forced me to focus on the game. And so I had to focus on exactly what I was doing so I can counter what little trick he'd have, because he knew more rules than I did and things like that. And the funny thing was, the very first time, because everyone plays squad leader without half the rules half the time anyway, and so the first time we played together, we were sat down, he'd shoot a couple of my units, and then he'd break them, of course, and then he'd put this little blue counter on top of my guys, and it has a DM on it. It says, "What the hell's that?" I said, "What's a DM?" I said, "Well, I don't get a DM until later. I don't, I don't get a DM." And so he kind of, it's like, I was playing DM the entire time wrong. And looking back at it, I don't think I ever placed a DM marker on any of my squad leader counters throughout the entire squad leader series.
Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah. And so, needless to say, those fights were very, guys would be up and ready to fight, and you'd be able to shoot a lot more often. So that was hilarious. And that just goes to show you that, if someone's has anxiety over not knowing the rules and not wanting to sit down with somebody else, I mean, everyone has one or two little rules that are obvious to some people that are completely, vacuous to others, especially if you're newer. And so it's like everyone says, it's a matter of just pushing counters around and learning as you go, and trying to experience as many people's play styles as possible, because maybe they're doing something wrong too that that isn't proper. And so even as a newbie, you could teach old dog new tricks. And so that's what I've experienced lately in my gaming, is that there's always something new to learn. There's just always something new to learn in this game. That makes it so great.
Yeah. Now, where are you located geographically? Are you in?
I'm located in Central California. We are essentially the breadbasket for a lot of the crops of the U.S. Very agricultural community, smack dab in the middle of San Fran and L.A. So 3 hours south and 3 hours north is where I'm located here. Not a lot of players.
That's what I'm wondering, is if you have a local group there that gathers.
No, just recently, my essentially teenage ASL friend, we just got back together, him doing his career and things like that, and we met another player or two. We really haven't gotten together, and now with this COVID thing coming up, it kind of squashes that as well. But there are two other players locally that do play, but most of them, like there's 10 or 15 guys up in the San Fran area and about 20 guys down south, that play regularly for the most part,
Yeah.
So, but driving 3 hours for a day trip is kind of rough. I mean, I love to do it, but I mean, it's kind of rough.
Yeah.
So you said you had discovered us, and it helped with traveling that you were doing?
Yes, I drive a lot in my job, and so my mother passed away, and trying to get my distraction off that, because I'm alone and I have to worry about thinking about that all the time. It's like I need a distraction, and music is one of them, of course. And then it was like, let's look at history, let's listen to language tapes, things like that. And after listening to a couple of World War I playback tapes by Carlin, I said, maybe, just maybe, there might be some hobby stuff on here. So you type in Advanced Squad Leader, and your guys' logo pops up, and I'm in seventh heaven. I think that was like issue or episode 35 is when I discovered you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And right around the time where you guys did your roundtables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was just so good. Just so good. And just listening to you covering everything. I mean, just the humor, just the camaraderie, just the banter. It really allowed me to just kind of, relax, step back, and realize that, this could be like a release for me from personal issues and things like that. And of course, like 2 years later, my father dies. And then, you guys are still pumping out your material. And so every 2 weeks, it's like, okay, Jeff and Dave, it's Thursday, Friday. It's getting late. I want that. I want that episode. Where's that episode? And so, always looking forward to that episode coming out. Doesn't really matter what the content is. The what's in the box, the art, it kind of grows on you. I just like, what the hell's Dave doing with the art? It's like, but holy smokes, man, it's just, it was just so good. It's just a different perspective on how to appreciate the game. And for me, all the artwork by McGowan and all these other guys, it's just fantastic. All the coloration, things like that, and having Dave just bringing that out in sort of like an appreciation thing, which a lot of guys just don't even, they just take it for granted. It's like, yeah, I'm looking at other things, looking for Dave's triangle and the whole 9 yards going on. So so that's very exciting for me. But and yeah, I remember when the 100th episode came. It's like, man, 100 episodes. Are they going to continue after 100? And then all of a sudden it's like 250. It's like, whoo. So, but yeah, you're in my truck all day. So.
Yeah, where did the time go?
Yeah.
So then you got started producing your own work. How did that come about then?
Of course. Look at each other's screens. That's the reason right there. You guys are the reason for that. That's to be honest with you, that's it. I mean, I've done play by email before then, like in the 90s and such. And then you had a couple of like replays that you had done, Dave, in the early times.
Oh,
it's
right.
It's like, you know what? I do a lot of play by email. I hadn't been playing at this time, when I picked up you guys listen, but Val's got logs. There's no reason why you can't do your Vassal log and then bring that log and have like a commentary about your play and what you're doing as a squad leader player. And that was the whole concept behind, I think I have 10 episodes now that's called Vassaling with Stu. It's like episode 1 through 10. So those are my logs that I've actually created. Everything else are like our game replays, and Tactical Tuesday something else. But what I would do is I'm not going to concern myself with what my opponent's doing right or wrong. It's just giving a player a perspective of what I'm thinking about. Because, if I sit down and watch you guys are just staring at the board. I have no clue what you're thinking. And so that's what I would do is I'd not necessarily give the best strategy tips, but, this is how I'm approaching the game. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm doing that. And just, every once in a while, I'm not a big like rules, like I want to, show you exactly what a rule, tell you what a rule does and so on and so forth. Yeah. It's kind of different. I want to show you, okay, this rule popped up in this game, and then I would go into the detail of the rule. Like climbing was one time, maybe fire lane was another time or something like that. Or I had a paratroop drop in Rachi Ridge, so I went into detail about how to do a paratroop drop, and then we just conducted the game. And so every little things like that, I would add those materials so that in every single episode there's something to learn, rules based, sort of thing. And I'd screw them up every once in a while, and the guys would comment on it, and that's what they're for. I mean, that's what we're all here to learn, and there's always going to be something I missed in a game because you're busy playing, right? Instead of it's playing and teaching are two different things. I mean, Dave, you knows that. I mean, holy smokes. I mean, the preparation and going to exactly getting a lesson right and teaching is incredible. And so that's just the process that you have to go through. But that was the idea behind those. And that kind of evolved into doing, it's like, you know what? I've done some of these. I've gotten some decent feedback. And to be honest with you, I didn't know Starter Kit existed. I mean, Starter Kit, hey, everyone's playing Starter Kit and everyone's, screaming about it, this, that, and the other. And, I think it's a good entry for people, especially monetarily and based on the rules. I think it serves a great purpose for that. And it's a standalone game by itself. So, I mean, you can't beat it. So I said, there might be a whole bunch more because Starter Kit's been one of their best sellers, like ever, next to Squad Leaders. Like, if I can get some of the new players in on, they're all saying, they're all, either playing solo or whatever, or playing the same opponent 20 times. If I could show them, an actual game replay, like Dennis and I played like 4 or 5 games, and we would show those replays and how just the actual conduct of a game. It can be boring and long for some, but but 2 times speed, it goes pretty fast.
Yeah.
And so what that would do is it allow a player to look at something like that, especially a new player, to look at the replay and just having us chatter and banter like you guys do in your show, which is absolutely fantastic. That you could pick up little subtle things in there, and even without the banner, if you just go through the logs, if like I see sometimes some players will play as the Americans, and you won't ever see them drop one smoke grenade during the entire game. and that kind of allowed me to evolve the starter kit thing. I stopped playing starter kit, and then I started the Tactical Tuesday, which I do every Tuesday, obviously, at 17:30 hours PDT. And what that is I don't teach the game. Like, I don't teach you, okay, it's 2 MF to move in a building, 1 MF to do this, that, the other. I don't necessarily teach the game. What I do is I typically have either my replays or an image saying, hey, how would you attack this? Or, how would you try to win? This is the end game situation. How do you win? Or do a full replay. And what we would do is we would analyze my replays, or let's say Jeff had a game that he brought in that he had played last week against you, Dave, and obviously SK, maybe a new player, and we go over the game, and there's like 8 of us. There's a good group of guys that show up on Tuesday. There's John, there's Mark, there's Craig, Shannon, a whole bunch of guys show up, and it's like a group. It's very much similar to your round tables. It's like a round table every week, but for starter kit players, and we essentially take situations, and I don't go over, they say, per se, what's the best way to win this game. That's not the point. The point is Dave, you have your style. You tell me what your plan is, right? If Dave's super aggressive, then he's super aggressive. Is it proper for that scenario? We don't care. Dave wants to be aggressive in this scenario. So what we do is let's allow Dave to be aggressive, but let's maximize his potential of his aggression. When the same thing on the verse. If you're very conservative, let's see how your conservative style can work in this scenario and maximize your effort in that scenario. It may not be the winning style per se, but that's not the point. The point is to develop your own style, and that's what we just discussed. Okay. If Dave, you're going to be aggressive out there, what are you going to do with that 666 American squad before you do that? Can you move somebody else up before that guy wants to go over that demo charge? And that's where the essence of get them thinking about, oh yeah, I can move a guy up, drop some smoke, and I'm across the road, and that guy's got a demo charge in his face. And so that's the concept of Tactical Tuesday is not criticizing people's play, but because everyone has a different style, check out their style, right? And apply the rules to their style.
And are those guys, is it just an open forum that you got where they can join a call? What are you using there? Are you using Discord?
Yeah. We use Discord, and what I do is I stream while we're running the actual thing. So in case people don't like Discord for whatever reason, they could always listen to the stream. So we're on Discord so that everyone can chat in the same room, and we're on Vassal at the same time, so they can move the counters around. So like if you have a replay, we can move the counters around, run through the log file, or say if Dave says, what happens if the guy's over here? Then he just drags the guy over there, and he sets up whatever scenario you want to set up.
Okay.
And the funny thing is I think I learned more than the starter kit guys. I gotta be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
It's just amazing when you take when you step across, when you change seats or change hats, then you just learn so much more. And I try to the biggest lesson I try to get in my players is routing. Routing is the biggest lesson I try to instill in these guys, and using and essentially it's really funny in the ASL advanced sequence of play. You have the advanced phase, right? The advanced phase has probably got 2/3 of a page and column of what to do in what order and 1 on yards. Routing is literally like 3 or 4 little steps. Route units to nearest cover. It's practically a whole movement phase into itself, and that's what I try to teach the people that show up and show them exactly how routing can be used best to your advantage, instead of just dismissing it as, oh, run back at maximum speed and then be done with it. We go into routing almost every single lesson. It just rears its ugly head, and it's very, very important, especially in the starter kit game, simply because it's a different game, and the routing is more, let's say, forgiving than an ASL game, because there's no surrender. You can low crawl in the open, you can stay in the open, you can block people, you can block a lot of movement options, which in ASL you can't because they just bypass everything around you. And but in SK, it's very important to be able to utilize your routing most effectively. And there's a huge number of situations that show up. As you guys well know, if you're in a hex, you want to route, you just route to the next hex. Well, is that the closest MMF? Is that nearest an enemy unit? And things like that. And again, on all the Tactical Tuesday replays, except for like 2, we cover probably like a half an hour in routing in every single one of them in different situations. And it's simply amazing that you can use routing to your advantage so much in a game, and even in ASL, that if I want to route to this location, I could take the longer route, right? Because it's legal. I could take a longer route to get there. And if you take the longer route, what it does is, oh, hey, there's a guy over there. I can't get any closer. Now I can turn left instead of having to go right.
Yeah.
And that might take me to a leader. And so that's kind of what I try and teach the guys, is to essentially not dismiss the route phase. It's so important. It's so important.
That's a nice thing about having a bunch of guys together discussing it. You can do it with one other person, and that's fine too. There are many times when I play, when I play badly, and so my opponent will say to me, "Well, why did you do this? I wouldn't have done that. Why did you do that?" And I'll say, "Well, I did it for this reason. I placed him there for this reason." And a lot of times people will say, "Oh yeah, I never thought of that."
Right.
Which I always find so interesting, because I play with some very knowledgeable players, but the fact that they had never thought of that is very revealing. And here to sit around with 8 guys, and is this always starter kit? Tactical Tuesday, is that always starter kit?
It's always starter kit. Yeah, it's always starter kit. ASL is a different monster.
Yeah,
it's just a different. It just multiplies the beast by a large margin.
Yeah.
And so starter kit, it was really funny when I first started. It's like it's like Dave. Dave's in his classroom. Has anybody got any questions? And like nobody raises their hands for So Dave's got to lead them on, things like that. Typical teaching environment. But I would then pick on some people, call some people out and things like that, and they would make comments or make changes on the map. And so now it's like everyone's kind of into it. Where it's less. There's no judging or anything like that. And, all questions are fair. I mean, it doesn't matter, because if you've got a question you need to ask, just like you said, Jeff, I mean, that's something that someone may have never, ever thought about. And that's where I'm learning every single session. Somebody brings something else up that's like, oh, hey, I never thought about I could actually go that direction or do this.
And you definitely don't get that just by watching somebody play. By watching 2 other people play. It's nearly as I can see why this is popular and so valuable.
Yeah, it's and it's really kind of odd, because in my videos I'm trying to, especially on the ASL replays, I'm trying to do the same sort of thing that the log files. When I do my log files, I give you my ideas. But again, it's difficult to do that while you're playing, and so usually you have to do that after. And you guys well know that production times being what they are, that they have a tendency to run a little long. So, but I'm thinking of new things, and it's like, why not just have a sit-down session where we could just discuss somebody's game, have 8 or 9 guys, or 4 guys, or 2 guys, or 3 guys, and it's just amazing some of the conversations that come out of it. Sometimes I'll go in a week with like having no materials, like, man, I hope somebody shows up with material this week. If not, then we'll just go over, a snapshot that I've taken from a starter kit game online, and say, hey, what do you guys think about this situation, and things like that, which I've done before. And it was really odd. And again, in terms of style, in terms of not criticizing people's styles, I watched this one game, S3. It was I don't know the name of the game. It's starter kit number 3 in the first one. Starter kit 1, scenario 3.
Yeah, scenario 3. Yeah.
And so what it was is he was an American player, and he had to like get buildings and get across the street to get buildings, and he ended up winning the game, but he did it even without placing any smoke anywhere. So it's like, even though he didn't do it in a, quote, most efficient manner, it was part of his game plan, and he still was successful. And so that's why, it doesn't really matter that you're technically doing the right thing. It's just however it fits into your style. As long as your style is being effective and perfected, then you can be successful in however you want to play the game.
Yeah, it'd be. How do you get into this group? Do they have to pay you like dues?
Yeah, I take certified cashier's checks and no, just on all my episodes, I'll have it's like an open link to it's the ASL Skills server, ASL SKILLS, I can play on it, ASL Skills server, and they should click on that on any of the Tactical Tuesdays or pretty much most of the starter kit stuff, and that will allow them to join the Discord server. And of course, the time is Tuesdays, as it's called, Tactical Tuesdays.
Yeah.
That's 5:30 at the same time, 5:30 p.m. What we're doing this, well, Pacific time. And a matter of fact, about half the guys are back east, so I keep them up to about 11 o'clock. So, but yeah, and then they just pop in, and all the guys are like prompt. I mean, they show like right at 5. It's like it's like 3 minutes till. It's like no one's in the room. It's like, holy crap, is anyone gonna show up?
Yeah.
But they all show up, right on time, and we just go at it. And there's a number of, like I said, great discussions. I mean, it's just like you guys. When I listen to your guys' podcasts, I've probably listened to all your podcasts 2 or 3 times easy. Just, I mean, it's a simple fact. I have my favorites, and as everyone does. And I'll do the same thing with my videos. Is I remember the routing of this one. I like to go over and see why I like that video again. And some of the stuff that you make, I don't necessarily like some of the videos I make. It's like, I didn't really get my message across. But I have a couple of my favorite videos of my own, which I think that just the amount of learning in some of those things can be tremendous, and it just ups your game. It's like you say, Jeff. It's like, hey, I never thought of that, and that's what we want to discover, is the things we don't think about.
Yeah.
Everyone knows how to move a squad. Everyone knows how to fire and things like that. But so we don't really cover, how to move a tank here and there or whatever like that. We did have an episode where I tried to get together like 8 guys, and we played Clash of Boroslavka. And so everyone would have like 2 tanks. And we started out with like 4 or 5 guys. Then a couple guys dropped, the next week came along, and we finished it with like 4 guys. We played with 4 guys. And so I tried to show like all the different things that would happen with ARB. I would drive my tank into the woods to see what would happen, do your bog check, and then, try APCR, and we talk about the hit charts and things like that as we're playing the game, instead of just saying, oh, I just need a +5 to hit, and boom, just roll the dice. No, we go over all the modifiers, and, I'll ask some guys, hey, are there any other modifiers we need to consider? I want them to answer the question, because if you give them the answer, then they won't learn anything. If they have to actively think about it, then they'll, well, is there something else I'm missing? I said, what about, something else? There's one other thing you're looking for. And, button up is usually the modifier they kind of usually forget. But, you go through that just 3 or 4 times, and it just becomes second nature,
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Well, I think I dropped for a little while. So what was the first, because you have several series of films, right? You have the Vassiling, which is teaching Vassal.
Well, I have the first episodes I did, which was Fighting Withdrawal, and then there it says Vassiling with Stu, episode 1, episode 2, up through 10. So those are my log file replays, where I take you through how an average ASL player is thinking about the game, essentially talking about the game. Oh, he did a good shot there, and he did a good shot here, and I need to get here because of this and that and the other. And then there's just the regular game replays, where like Dave and I would sit down and we just replay the game. And then there's the SK replays, which is the same thing but SK. And then there's the Tactical Tuesdays, which we have like 24 now. It's been like 3 months.
Oh, is there that many?
Yeah, there's a bunch. I mean, every Tuesday we're on there, so it's just amazing. And so there's a number of Tactical Tuesdays, and there's another game I played, and it was more like a community game where I would play it and everyone would watch. That one didn't come to a finish, but what we did is I turned that into a learning session where, okay, it's like understanding your opponent. Like, okay, because he didn't do this, I know I'm free to do this, and essentially like reading your opponent, where if you know he's looking for a specific thing, then you kind of bait him, you kind of dangle the carrot, and then you don't give it to him. Then you get to do essentially what you do. And so that was a very interesting one. It didn't finish, but it was at the end game. And the thing about that is I was disappointed that it didn't finish, but I took the end game situation and we made, a Tactical Tuesday discussion on that. And so we said, okay, my guys are lined up here. I need to take the building. Do we fire first? Do we move? And why? And then we would just, disseminate all that information and the action, not just like, okay, just move your units forward and you'll be fine. But it's the, do I move this guy first or this guy first? And, that's very important in terms of you're using troops and leaders. Leaders in our starter kit are extremely important simply because, they don't have any firepower, right? So no one cares about them, but you simply use them to move freely first, and then you could have your other units move. And if they attack and break somebody, your leader's already behind them screwing up the route paths. And so, again, routing comes into the game as something you really need to think about before the route phase shows up. You should be thinking about routing in the movement phase. And I try to kind of reiterate that throughout all the Tactical Tuesdays and some of the other starter kit stuff that I do. So.
Yeah, because I do remember the Fighting Withdrawal one. I've been very impressed with your work. It's very thorough. It's fun. It's and it's like you're saying, it's very educational.
Thanks.
So that's the piece I really liked when I came across the 88s, the Tactical Tuesday. To suddenly I was like, Jeff, we haven't seen these. He's doing this great backdrop screen, and the guy is discussing his game, and this is like really something we should have been getting into long ago. But as we all know, there's so much content and there's so many things to do. But yeah, it's just very impressive that all the stuff you've done. How long ago did you start your first production with
I think it was really funny. I've got, as you guys well know, as you run your production, you obtain more toys to play with. But I think that first video was 5 to 6 years ago on the Fighting Withdrawal. And, Eastern Front, you got to start with number one, right? It's like Guards Counterattack. You either start with Guards Counterattack or Fighting Withdrawal because everyone's played those scenarios. And so that's obviously it's the oldest one. It's got a lot of views, but, that's my oldest video so far. And, back then I would do a video and, that's when you start learning. You don't know how to edit. You don't really know how to record. You just kind of play with it. And I remember my first mic, my mic's kind of expensive here, but my first mic I bought from Korea. It came in like a little 3-pack, like the little clip-on mics. And so what I didn't have a stand or anything. So I had like the little TV, the little prong right here, right? And so what I did is I would jam a number 2 pencil in there, and I would have the number 2 pencil sticking up, and then I would clip the mic on there to sit in front of the keyboard. Because otherwise it would rub up against your chest, and you'd hear all this shirt noise. And so obviously we've progressed from that a little bit. But again, all of this, gentlemen, all the 100+ videos I've done is all because of you guys. This doesn't happen if you guys didn't do what you did. And just like all the other stuff, the guys, ASL Real Time, I think maybe even ID Jester, which you guys have interviewed, and J&D Hobbies. ID Jester does all the actual rules, teaching the rules, and J&D Hobbies does also like the 5-minute rules. Those guys, unfortunately, they don't produce anything more, but another valuable resource. And Illuminating Rounds, of course, from England. All this is because of you guys. Right. I mean, it's simply, that's all there is to it. All this is because of you guys, and hats off to you guys. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
Hats off to you guys. So you guys, I mean, just like I say, it's just all this work is just simply just a little bit of the block that was chipped off of your work, and then we've just made it into our own little world.
Well, it's an invaluable resource. It really, really is. Yeah, for sure.
And it's nice how everybody can contribute something to the hobby to keep it going. We get a lot of email from people who say, I've heard your podcast, I did a search on ASL. I've been interested in it a long time. I've never played it. Can you give us some tips? Can you give me some tips on how to get into it? Give us some strategy. And, we don't have time to answer that back in email. And here you're providing that as a great service where somebody can just sit down and relax and go through it and pick up little bits here and there, which is an angle of the show that we never did because of audio. We would have to describe everything. It was just too hard to do. So the fact that you're picking up on this and filling this niche, or is it niche?
Niche is easier to say. It's quicker.
It's really great.
And I like what off the air. I think you had mentioned that you don't know about the feedback. You don't know who's out there, and that is the weird thing about this. And one example, well, we'll occasionally get a really nice long letter. We probably read them all on the air. That just tells you, wow, this person is out there, and it means a lot to them, and they've never contacted us. I keep reminding Jeff, I listen to a slew of podcasts myself, and I don't think I've ever commented on any of them. So they don't even know. I've gone in and I've donated. I try to go in every 2 or 3 years and give a quick $20 to everybody I listen to. Beyond that, I never, ever leave a comment, And same thing with a lot of the videos we watch. We all get into YouTube and watch all some cool videos, and I never drop a comment. So other than the clicks, you assume, well, it says like 500 people download our podcast immediately when it drops, and that's just on iTunes. You don't have any idea.
It's really funny. I mean, I know you guys may agree with me on this. I'd rather have 0 thumbs up and 20 comments, or 30 thumbs down and 20 comments saying how bad my show is, than 4,000 thumbs up and no comments at all.
Nothing to go from.
Like you say, it's all about sharing the information. And if someone has an idea, the person who's generating that video wants to know what you have to say. That's the media that we're using, is just click comment, say, hey, was great, and then, if you want to have a time slip, because my videos are like 8,000 hours long, put in the time slip, hey, on this, at such a time, you screwed this up. What do you think about this? And, half the time I screwed it up, and half the time I would explain why it was done correctly, but that's part of the process. I don't have a problem screwing things up because I'm pretty good at it,
We are too. Golly, the older I get, it's just funny that it's like I know less. I can do less now from memory about the game. And that's just getting old too, or not rereading the rules enough and so on. But then you start playing it wrong. Jeff and I both. I think in the last show I recounted that I cheated twice on Jeff, and I think it's the show that we dropped today. I cheated twice on him accidentally, and I couldn't even get a victory out of it.
You try cheat better, Dave.
And it's basic stuff, and you're suddenly like, how did we forget that? We always remember that. And so anyway, but yeah, we had a winner get a prize, Karsten in Germany, and he we kind of knew, hardly know he's out there, other than he joined this contest on Twitter. And I had to mail this out, and he listened to this show immediately, and he heard us say, oh, we hope he doesn't live in Europe.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, he's in Germany. So he tweeted the day the show dropped when his name was announced, and I'd already notified him a couple days ahead saying, hey, if you're going to hear on this episode, you're going to be a winner, so send me your address. And he did, and then the day the show dropped, he texted back and said, no, please don't send it.
Oh my gosh.
And we said, no, we are sending it to you. But again, it's an example of somebody who listens the instant the show drops, he's sitting down listening to the podcast every time.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't know he's out there ever. So
yeah. And it was really funny. I remember just a recent episode that you guys did, I think with Chris Cook. And in Germany, they're newer players. It's like, hey, let's start our own tournament. And that's kind of what is exciting, that people are just, I can't go to London, I can't go to Paris, I can't go to Stockholm or whatever for those tournaments. Let's just start one in the backyard, and it's just amazing. Just these people, just let's do it. You love that enthusiasm about it, and it's just wonderful to see.
Yep. Well, should we wrap it up, gentlemen?
Yes, I think we're good for this episode. So, well, do you have any parting comments you'd like to? Anything you want to bring up? That
Just for the people that don't like to watch long videos, just hit double speed. Just hit double speed.
That's a really good idea. And I'm glad you said it, because there's so many people that don't realize that you can do that on YouTube, and it makes a world of difference.
Big
For
difference.
watching, and not that it's boring or something, but you want to get through it because there's only so many hours in the day, and you can absorb it quickly.
Or watch them in pieces. It doesn't. It always leaves off where you left off.
Yeah.
Right.
And go back in. Oh, I was a third of the way through this one. Oh, I'm going to go back in.
And some people, some content creators, not even in like ASL and anything else you watch, they might just speak slowly, or they might have large gaps, and the 2x gets you through it. I mean, whatever speed you want, 1.5, 1.5, whatever.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, when you put it at 2x speed, I have a tendency to speak fast sometimes too, and so whatever. But just like you say, or click around, maybe you'll find something interesting in the comment section. So
yeah, Jeff and I tried doing a live 2x speed, but it sounded like this.
Yeah, because you guys speak normally, and so if you really kind of slow your voice down, then 2x speed sounds normal. So, but you get through the video faster. That's pretty much like one of the biggest things. If you have a long video you want to watch, or a movie, I watch just regular movies like 1.5 speed. It's just the movie's 2 hours long. It's like I can still follow it. Not a big deal. If something interesting happens, I slow it down, then I go back to it. Oh, this is kind of cool. See that over. So
yeah, I've started watching old TV shows on YouTube.
Yeah.
The one I've been watching lately is Thriller, from the late 50s and early 60s, which was, I think it ran for 3 seasons, 1-hour episodes, hosted by Boris Karloff.
Wow.
All thriller and terror kind of stuff. But they're a little long. It's a story that could be told in probably 20 minutes, and they're about 48 minutes or something like that. I haven't thought of watching it at 1.5 speed, but I'm definitely going to do that so I can get through those episodes.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
And we do need to remind everybody, Jeff, that this show has been brought to you by our new sponsor, Kansas City ASL, as well as Bounding Fire Productions.
Oh, Bounding Fire Productions, our favorite guys, other than our other guys who are our favorites.
Which would be Broken Ground Design.
Yes.
Making the wonderful counters. And you know what, Jeff? I actually found a set of counters from Broken Ground Design in my book bag from when we left off before COVID. And
Really?
And here was the scenario in there. And I was, the other day, I'm like, where the heck is that scenario? 208 from Korea. And where is that? How could I lose the whole scenario?
Yeah.
And so suddenly, I was traveling and I wanted to, so I got out the old bag I used to bring to your house.
Yeah.
I went, oh, look, here's all the stuff from the last show, or stuff we're supposed to get to. And so I'm like, oh, look, here's
nice
that
surprise.
scenario. Oh, here's a whole set of counters. What am I supposed to do with these? Did we talk about these yet? Were we going to give them away? I don't remember. So anyway.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Steve and Stewart. It has been marvelous.
Yeah, really good talking to you. You're doing great.
Thank you, sir. It's been my privilege of showing up on you guys' show, and without you guys, I think there would be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of players that just would not play. I mean, that's simple fact. I mean, because of you guys, I don't even play face to face, and I've got like double copies of all second edition stuff. So supporting the hobby. So
MMP owes us big time, don't they?
Big time.
Big.
But we do get those letters too, where people go, "Yeah, you guys made me go back and buy everything again. Thanks a lot, guys."
We're sorry.
Goodness.
All right. Well, great work, everybody. Take care. We'll sign off. We'll try it together. I don't know if Stephen knows the sign off. Probably, but
just
we want to thank everyone. What, Jeff?
I was going to. No, go ahead, Dave.
We want to thank everyone for listening and say, remember to roll low
and rally well.
Rally well.
But not
when you're
playing us.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.